Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Unfair Advantage podcast. Today's guest is someone who doesn't just build brands, he revives the spark that created them. We're joined by Caleb White, founder and creative director of Dreamlit Creative, a Charlotte-based branding agency that's helped founder-led businesses turn messy growth into magnetic, meaningful brands. But Caleb's journey didn't just begin there. It began in the red, a single dad with zero safety net, working a day job and pouring every late night ounce of energy into building a future for his son. That pressure became his playbook: cut the noise, care deeply, move with intention, and create with clarity. Today, Caleb works with founders who have lost momentum, not just giving their brand a fresh coat of paint, but helping them reconnect with the original dream that launched their business. With Caleb, welcome on.
Hey man, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We were just talking right before we hopped on. You were like, "Why'd you start the podcast?" And I was like, I got this disfluency and all that stuff, and it happens. But anyhow, so I got this little intro here that I did for you and everything. But why don't you kind of walk through? A lot of the people I talk to are like marketing agencies. They just do like the SEO, or they just do Google Ads and websites. But you guys really do like full branding end to end, is what it seems like to me. And so kind of like, why don't you walk through like who your ideal client is, what you guys do, all that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So we are a tried and true creative studio, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I mean by creative is anything that your customers would see, hear, or read. That's what we do. So boots on ground, usually the way that starts is somebody, for whatever reason, decides, hey, we need a refreshed logo. We need to update our website. Maybe we do have a strong brand, but our photography is terrible, or our messaging is just not landing. And, we DIY'd things and we went grassroots for the first 3, 5, 7 years of our business, but we're at 500K, a million, we're creeping up into that 7-figure business, and we need to show up like it and really start building our outer look and feel and communicating to our customers in a way that, probably doesn't have the founder up at midnight pushing around Canva templates, because that's what they've been doing since day one, right? So that's kind of where we come in. And it's, like I said, everything you see here, read from the initial logo all the way to, a lot of what we honestly do is sales enablement and really making sure that people lock down that customer experience, right?
Yeah.
Because oftentimes, the flashy website's what you think of, but all that other stuff gets forgotten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely does. Like even things just like we had with my agency when I had that, like I had one roofing client who he's like, here is like, I went to a trade show and there was this huge roofing company and here is like their like sales collateral. And he's like, I have nothing like this. Like, can you create this for me? And so I was like, yeah, we can go ahead and figure out, like, not a designer, but I knew how to like basically find the design talent to execute on this. But a lot of people miss those things and don't realize that your competition is using things like that to really help them like enable their sales team to then close the deals. And if you don't have that, like my parents just had an in-ground pool put in, they had some work done on their roof and everything. And so like what's on their coffee table is like the pamphlets and guides from those people.
Exactly.
And those are the ones that they wound up going with, or the ones who actually gave them those things.
Exactly. And honestly, when you lean into that, especially on the home service side, or any service business where your 10, 20, 30-mile radius matters so much, you want to be the conversation at the cookout in the backyard. You want people, anybody you do work for should be an extension of your sales team. But it's up to you to build brand in such a way that you equip them to do so, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, it's one of those things that you want people, I don't know how it is out there. And there's a local HVAC company that their billboard says something like, your wife's hot, like call us for like your HVAC replacement. Like I gave your AC's broken, right? Like so something like that. And this is a little off topic of branding, but in a way goes with messaging and everything. But
100%.
that same phrase, if I go to the Cardinals baseball game, they have advertisement in the bathrooms that say the same thing. If I go to a Blues game, they got advertisement in the bathroom saying the same thing. And so it's about that repetition of branding. And so like, it's like one of those things that I don't really have a preference on what HVAC company we use. So when we have a problem, who's the company I'm calling? I don't really know their name. I just know I'm going to look for the company that talks about your wife being hot and advertising, and I will find the company that I see those billboards for. So a lot of it's, yes, it's the branding, it's the visuals, how do the colors play and everything like that, and how do you lay out a piece of print material in a way that best is the way the consumer is going to digest it the best, but it's also like the copy and everything like that too.
Absolutely. I like a lot of our guys, I always tell them, I'm like, "Hey, man, the old school stuff still works. You just have to do it better than everybody else." And that's where we come in. And it's everything from direct mail to, the welcome kit, what are your leave behinds, all of that stuff. It honestly, it saves you from going around and having to test 100 ads to figure out what your ROAS
Hmm.
is. And
Yep.
I'm the big fan of Facebook ads as much as the next guy, but if you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on that because your referrals are strong, let's
Hmm.
rock and roll.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like my entire business with my agency and my entire business talent fees, except for one client, is all from my personal brand.
Yeah.
Again, it's branding. It's
Yep.
not like everybody knows I have this company, but they really like want to work with Brad because of his brand, his content, and everything like that. And it's like, why not build a personal brand? Like the
Exactly.
return on an investment behind it, the growth that you see from like going from launching one company and building a personal brand at that company to now launching a second company and seeing like how much faster that has grown just because of the content and the personal brand, like it's huge. And so it's the same thing with these companies too. Like you really dial in your branding and your messaging, like it's going to make a night and day difference for you.
Yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, the way I see it is people have personalities and people buy from people, but companies have brands and it's the same thing. And we're now in the day of personal branding. So if you're a founder, business owner, your personal brand is probably your greatest asset
Yeah. Oh yeah.
because it bridges that gap between, hey, who is this guy? I trust him. I like what he's doing. Oh, he does something that I need and he's showing me the pathway forward. Well,
Hmm.
there might be 200 other people that I could hire to do this, but I trust him, so I'm going that way.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, those things like you can then go promote other products, services, all that stuff under your personal brand, and people will go buy it just because this person has bought this. Like I have people who have signed up with my referral link for the hosting company I recommend and all the stuff. And it's like they're like never going to purchase from me, but they like purchase from me in my business. But because I talk about the products and services we use and they trust Brad, they go use my link and I get paid.
there you
So
go.
it's all different things like that. An HVAC company can talk about, whatever tools they use to hire people, whatever their CRM is. Well, another HVAC company is not going to be their client, but they can go use the same tools and everything that they're using as well. And it all comes down
Absolutely.
to branding theirs. Well, let's kind of go. I always love kind of tying these in the beginning with like the unfair advantage. Let's kind of go back to the beginning, like with the intro that I did for you. You first got going with this. You were working a full time job and then had a kid, and we were working in the evenings, like after he goes to bed, to basically build this creative agency that you have now. What was going on? Like, was the
Yeah.
job you were working then? Was it like a very like high demanding job? Like, what all was going on?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually was in the coffee industry for about 9, 10 years. And being in that industry, I saw the impact that a local brand truly can make, right? The coffee company I was with towards the end of that tenure I was with them for a few years. And while I was there, we went from 1 to 5 cafes plus a roastery
Okay.
in a matter of years. So it was pretty rapid growth, to be honest with you. And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, my role in the company was more business development, brand development with some wholesale clients and
Okay.
doing a lot of what we do now for that company. Right. And so some of the stuff we do now, it was intensive in that job, but more to the point, that is a career that has a very low ceiling. Right. So I was
Hmm.
in an industry where your top of the line salary is 50, 60K until you find your other option, which is figure out how to get a couple 100,000 and start your own thing. And I didn't have any interest in doing that, right? That's a long journey and quite frankly, not the life I wanted to build. And so kind of my last year and a half or so in that industry, really started asking the hard questions. Went through a divorce, and my son was about a year and a half old, and my oldest, and started asking the questions around that time when all that went down of what am I aiming at, right? What am I building not only for myself, but something that, yes, gives us the life we want as a family, but also helps other people in the process. And what I landed on was the design space. I actually started in the UX UI side, really
Okay.
focused on customer experience, right?
Yeah.
through digital products. And where that landed me was, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing in my full-time job, I'm doing this for one company and it's a very small part of that job. I could get really good at this and I could do it for a multitude of companies,
Mhm.
which compounds the number of people positively affected by the action that I take in the world. Right. And
Mhm.
so that sounds nice and fluffy and like
Yeah.
feel good, but it takes a lot of work. Right. So
Yeah.
what that actually looked like was working that full time job. And for about a year, coming home at night, spending 3, 4 hours with my son, getting him down around 8, and then being on the computer, learning, you know, putting in the hours that I needed to tie my leadership skills and kind of natural creative ability together with actually hard skills that can help businesses in the real world. And so, 8 months to a year, did that nightly. And the company I was working with actually ended up having an ownership split where I was probably about 3 months away from committing to Dreamlit Creative full on. We were doing pretty well, but it was definitely like me being a glorified freelancer at that point, right?
Mhm.
And it was going pretty well, but things happened and I basically found myself between a rock and a hard place and was like, well, I guess this is the time to commit because no better time than now. Ironically, when the company split, the one part of the ownership group, they actually became a client for
Okay.
12 consecutive months and we're actually doing some stuff with them right now.
Okay.
So, I try to never burn a bridge, but
Yeah.
it was it was a lot of long days, a lot of long nights. We were fortunate in that the way that we've taken the care to try to build personal relationships first, I think has really spearheaded some of the success that we've had in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
We've been full on and like looking down our client roster now, there's just, it's really cool to be able to say like, hey, we set out, the whole purpose behind this was to look at founders and say like, hey, you have a vision that you started out with that your company would be X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
Then you're probably an expert in what you do. You're probably really damn good at what you do, but not everybody knows that. And brand is the way that you communicate that and build that trust. And it's cool to see now, like, just the number of different people that we've been able to kind of cast vision with and really,
Mhm.
really just get in the trenches with people. Like, that's where I
Yeah.
love to be. It's not the,
Yeah.
it's not the corporate stuff. It's like, hey, you're putting everything in you have into building this company. I don't want you to have to become like a brand design and marketing specialist on the side. So why don't we just
Mhm.
get in there together and make things happen?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's always interesting, like, I always think of, like, divine intervention and, like, God's plan and everything like that, like, it's like this split happened, and it just so happened that you were working for this company, and we're doing what you're doing now, like, for them, and it's like, had that not happened, would you have taken the leap when you did? Would it have actually been about 3 months out, or would you have gotten to that 3 months and then, like, let me keep doing this the way I'm doing it for another 9 months, like all those things. And it's like life just puts you in a position where it's like, okay, I guess I gotta do what I have to do and just go ahead and just take this leap. And I have like no other option right now. And so it's always
100%.
I always love kind of like connecting those dots and seeing how all that interacts. So I guess walk me through with you guys. So you went through that process. You then go full time into the business, glorified freelancer at the time. How soon after that did you then start bringing on your own team?
Yeah. So it's funny when all that happened, that was March. So we just celebrated 2 years incorporated. So October 23 was when we formed the LLC officially. That split happened in April of 23,
Okay.
I believe. I might have dates wrong there, but so we hadn't even actually formed the LLC. It was basically me calling it what it was
Mhm.
and with the intention of it becoming a thing, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so my now partner, Katie, she shortly after that happened, we were sitting at a restaurant here locally and I was kind of mapping out, we were getting pretty serious and I was mapping out, my 2 5-year goals. And she was like, why don't you just start? Like you say you want to form this company. Why don't you just do the damn thing? And
Mhm.
so we did. And she has for a decade and a half been in the commercial photography space. So we quickly kind of joined forces there and started offering more than just what my hands could do, right?
Yeah.
And what my time would suffice. And so really the first Like, we're very much right now in a growth pattern, really building team in a big way, and it's taken a bit to get there to a point where it's like, "Hey, we've gone from 2 freelancers joining forces, right, to now we've got good lead flow. Let's bring on other creatives more in a 1099 fashion that we
Mhm.
trust."
Yep.
Now to, hey, let's start building internally really in the last 6 months
Yeah.
and casting vision towards, hey, what does it look like for me personally to be fully in my sweet spot of like strategic leadership so I can
Yep.
be front and center with our clients, really being the one who guides the strategy, the creative direction,
Mhm.
and just doing that better because it is the thing that sets us apart, right? It's not what I say all the time is we're not an on-call design service, we're a creative partner, right?
Mhm.
And so allowing me to just be in that sweet spot more is kind of that phase we're in right now. But we've grown slowly so that we can grow right, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not that we've also grown slowly because it's tough to grow a business, but but more to the point, like I'm the type of person who really doesn't want to put out anything that's halfway done. So like to your question, we're right now in a very grow team mode,
Yeah.
which is exciting.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think
Yeah.
it's going well.
Yeah. And it's one of those things like you almost like and you think of like 2 years, right? And it's like you kinda look up and you're like, "Holy crap, like, this is what we've built so far, and then now we're having to really, build all this out and everything." And then when you start building the team, then it's like, okay, not only do I have to worry about what I bring home and putting a roof over my head or everything like that. Like when you do freelancers, it's kind of like that same thing, but at the same time, it's also like they have other business coming through versus when you hire on your own team members, you're like, I'm now responsible for their pay and keeping a roof over their heads and everything. So it adds that level of additional stress onto your plate and everything like that. And like knowing like that business is always going to come through. Now with you guys, do you guys do any like is it like packages you do where it's like fixed packages or do you have like monthly recurring revenue? Because that's obviously a huge thing in the agency world is how can you get monthly recurring revenue so that way you can kind of project out for those types of hires and all that.
Yeah. So we have two core offers that we run.
Hmm.
The first one is for the smaller companies, usually kind of the sub 500K
Yeah.
companies that they come in, they're like, hey, we might be at 250, 300K, whatever it might be. We're doing pretty good. We've got a small team and we really either our brand is terrible or it doesn't really exist, like
Yeah.
functionally. And it's like, hey, I DIY'd this thing that I got off Canva at the beginning, but like
Yeah.
we need to look better. And so that's more of the classic visual identity suite, like logo, colors, type, messaging, what do you say, how does it look, etc. And so that's kind of our one time quick and dirty offer. Like we work with people, get in there, 30 days later, it looks like a brand new company, right?
Hmm.
The way we love to work with people and really is our ideal client are the people who are either nearing that 7 figure mark or kind of in that 1 to 2 million trying to grow to 5, 10, 20, right?
Hmm.
Really trying to scale and either franchise out or be sellable, right?
Yeah.
To where they're like, hey, we really need a full system with our creative that scales, that doesn't break no matter how many touch points it's present in. And
Yeah.
for those clients, which is the bulk of it's like 80% of our business are the monthly recurring clients where we really act as a fractional creative team, so
Okay.
to speak.
Yeah.
And the heart behind that is most of those people aren't quite ready to either fund an in-house team or more pointedly, my ideal customer doesn't want to hire, train, manage, pay full-time benefits to a junior level creative team when like the way we price out, Brad, is literally whatever the market rate for one junior level designer is, that's what it looks like to get our full team on
Yeah.
at your service. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like, hey man, you could either have all these headaches and worse quality or you could just
Yeah.
work with us. And it's like that's what we like to do. But some people aren't ready for that. So that's where the
Yeah.
one off goes in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and it's like one of those things. Like I talk about people all the time. It's like they're their office managers doing their SEO or the office managers doing this, and it's like
Right.
your office manager is an office manager, not a creative. And so a lot of times people will also do that is they'll either bring in somebody junior or bring in somebody who's got a marketing background because they took a marketing class in college or something like that, and then they like bring them on to do this marketing for them, and it's like, what in the world are you doing? Because this looks like crap.
Yeah, it's like you get what you expect out of that level, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it
Yeah,
it's
it's
wild where how many, people it's kinda classic, like, we get this a good bit. People are like, "Oh, you're a photographer, you must manage social media too." Like, your freelancer photographer is expected to be like a marketing guru, and you're like, these are different jobs." And so, like, that's where the studio comes in, and that's why we're like, "Hey, we'll be your creative partner, not just like your kinda pixel pusher," if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like one of the reasons, like with us, you and I are kind of talking briefly, on Messenger and everything about my company, like Talent Fuse.
Mhm.
Like one of the things that I love about what we do is agencies can get like these like premier talent, somebody that would cost you an arm and a leg here in the US to do for less than or about the same cost as like one of those entry level people that are going to working for one of these companies as an office manager or whatever. And so it's like to me, I'm always amazed by, like, what you can get and, like, what people are like, I have people that I have clients that, like, they're paying somebody an outrageous amount, and I'm like, "How are you even okay with paying that for this
Mhm.
person doing nothing?"
Right. Just sitting there
And
and taking a
so
paycheck.
right,
Yeah.
absolutely. I always love kinda seeing how people place people in different roles and all that stuff. When it comes to the brand identity is huge, and everything like that, and I'm sure you believe this too, like, I have a book over here, The 4-Hour Work Week. There's
Mhm.
no point of this guy writing this book, doing the design for this book cover to make it appealing for me to wanna pull it off the bookshelf and everything like that, if they're not also doing the marketing to get the book in people's hands. It's the same thing with, like, a brochure. There's no point of having this design work done for a brochure if you're not getting it in people's hands, right? Uh
100%.
do do you guys work with, like I imagine you don't do, like, SEO and Google Ads and all that stuff, so do you guys have, like, a partner company that then when then they're to level up, like, their marketing activities there that you guys then kind of transition them over there, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it depends on level of partnership, right? So those monthly recurring clients that I talked about, we've kinda got 2 levels within that offer. One is, hey, if you're just looking for the pure service that we offer in terms of the design itself, the
Mhm.
strategic brand stuff itself, then we go that route. But we've got 4 of them right now that are kind of at that top level who
Yeah.
we actually go in, source everything from, we become the print broker where, hey, I'm not gonna just hand you something and you go
Yeah.
find out where to print it. Like, we'll find source things. Same with SEO, same with, media buying, things like that, where it truly is creative direction within your company, and we do have a
Mhm.
couple people in each category. Depending on the company, like, we've got 2 SEO people that I try to send people to, and they do very different niches, right? So, that's kind of the heart behind us building the company the way we have, is to be able to say, like, in the outlier areas of stuff that we don't do, I'm going to make sure that you have really clear directions so you're not having to manage 5 vendors, and we can kind of become your point person for
Mhm.
everything that is involved in that.
Yeah.
As you know, especially in the social media realm, when it comes to ad buying and everything, like, you can have a great media buyer, but if your creative is terrible, you're going to be wasting so much cash just burning through ads, right?
Mhm.
Like, these people who are testing out like hundreds of ads to try to see what sticks. I'm like, man, if you just had a little bit of strategy behind that, you wouldn't have to burn
Right.
all that cash to figure out what works.
Yeah, yeah, it's like it's one of those things, like, we've ran some ads for Talent Fuse, and it's, like, video ads, and it's my wife because 'cause I'm like, "Listen, most agency owners out there are men, so we're gonna put a female in front of here," and, like, we've been testing different iterations of like what color shirt she's wearing versus if she's wearing, glasses on it or that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Is it a little bit more revealing or is it not? Like those different types of things. And like being able, you can see clear as day, like which ones are converting better, but you don't go do 100 of them. You do a couple and then pivot
With
and
thought behind
adjust
it.
with
Right,
thought behind it too. Yeah.
right.
Right. It's so it's like and in video, it's the hook and all that stuff. But then even as something as simple as like the branding on the actual video itself is a huge aspect there. So,
100%.
um, as we kind of get close to wrapping up here, one of the things you mentioned you began this journey as a single dad, building this on the side to now running this company. And if my notes are correct, you now have 3 kids in a blended family.
Blended family, yep,
So life has changed completely over the last couple of years.
drastically.
And so growing a business is tough. Having kids is tough. And then doing the two together. And then am I correct that your partner, Katie, is also your partner in the business as well,
In the
correct?
business as well.
Okay. How do you guys handle communication? Like and
Yeah, very
everything?
clearly. That's the key. On a personal side of things, we made sure really early that we both knew what we were aiming at and that those things weren't diverting paths. And I think early on we over-indexed in making sure that the things we said yes to and the things we said no to were really clear.
Hmm.
Right? And so, that even comes down to there's a ton of marketing agencies out there that are like, we do everything a little bit, right? And so even things like that was like, hey, we're gonna grow and over time there's certain things that we can get really good at, but that's gonna
Yeah.
mean saying no to other things. Or there's
Yeah.
certain companies that we are going to work with, but I'll say no to somebody, even if it's a great deal, if they're not operating with integrity. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
so I say that to say that in terms of balancing everything in life, I think the simpler the better because everything is going to have a level of complexity to it.
Hmm.
So never like my approach to life, it's tattooed all over me. It's depth over distance. It's quality over quantity. It's the things that you commit to fully and really lean into the things you say yes to and disregard the things that you say no to, right? In business, in family, whatever it might be.
Hmm.
And so the way we balance everything is yes, we probably have too much on our plates compared to like the average person. Like somebody might look at our life and be like, "Well, you have so much going on."
Yeah.
However, like right now, I'm fully in here talking to Brad.
Hmm.
Later today, I will be fully cuddling on the couch with the little ones, right? And earlier today, I'm fully immersed in the strategy call with one of our clients, right? So it's wherever you're at in the given moment, just be fully there so you don't have to worry about being there later when you're trying to do something else. And so having for us, not having too hard of lines between work and family time, letting those blend a little bit but also really paying attention to whatever the priority in the moment is has been infinitely important.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. It's one of those things you always learn. I feel like with every time you level up in business, you learn how to communicate that much better or worse with your partner. And communication goes a long way. And I agree with the aspect of like you have to let it blend because there is no clear cutoff on or off whether both partners are involved in the business or not. And
With
so you just
clients
have
and
to,
kids too, man.
yeah,
Like
yeah, absolutely,
establishing clear expectations, is like I told a client a couple weeks ago, he was like, "Hey, we've got this wrap up, like here's a few times, can you meet at these times?" I was like, "I can meet at these two, but this one I'm taking my son out to dinner and I am completely unavailable this entire
yeah,
evening." And like
yeah,
things have to take priority, right?
yeah. Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Caleb, as we're wrapping up here, thinking of those guys who maybe listen to this, working a job, have a kid, maybe don't, but like in your position where they're like, the ceiling of the job I'm in is very low, and I there's not much more going up from here, and I think I need to go all in or begin to try to pave my own path. What's that like one piece of advice you would hand them?
The ability to acquire any hard skill set has never been simpler. It's not easy, but it is simple to figure out where to acquire this skill set, right? So,
Hmm.
but a lot of people under index on the way they show up in the day to day. And I'll say this, like whatever job you feel like you're stuck in right now, the way you show up to that job will completely inform the way you show up to your own business or whatever your dream is, right? It's over index now in the present moment on becoming a person who shows up with integrity and is fully present and gives everything to whatever they happen to have on their plate at the moment, with also having your eyes towards the horizon, towards what things do I need to start putting in place? You can't eat the elephant all in one bite, right? But
Hmm.
what are the little things that I need to start putting in place to set myself up for success towards where I want to go while
Yeah.
not burning bridges where I'm at?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and oftentimes, depending on the employer you're with, they wanna help you get to where it is you wanna be, and they'll help put you in rooms, or they'll make sure that if you need certain time off to go attend an event or whatever, like, oftentimes, like, especially if you work for a small business, they've once been where you're at, they've once had that dream to go out and build this thing, right? And so, they always wanna help and give back to those who are there next, so, well, Caleb,
100%.
thanks again for hopping on today. For those who are listening, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, please share this episode online so we can get out what Caleb's gone through and growing his agency over the last couple of years to other agency owners as well. But until next time, this is your unfair advantage.